You ever be by a cracked window on a hot day, trying to get a little air, and a door slams down the hall so hard you flinch before your brain catches up? That's what Krakatoa did to the planet in 1883. A volcano in Indonesia blew with such force that people about 3,000 miles away heard it. That is not a normal sentence. And I mean, heard it in the real, physical world, not in some mythic campfire way. The final explosions happened on August 26 and 27, and the eruption was so violent it earned a VEI 6 rating, which is volcanic shorthand for an extremely bad day. The energy was on the order of hundreds of megatons of TNT. Honestly, that number is so huge it starts to feel rude. What gets me is that the sound was only the first weird layer. The blast created a pressure wave that circled the globe multiple times, and we know that because barographs around the world recorded it. So this wasn't just a loud eruption, it was the atmosphere registering it. Ship logs line up with pressure records, and eyewitness accounts from places like Rodriguez near Mauritius do too. What do you do with a fact like that? You almost picture people in far off ports looking up, checking the sky, checking it again, like the sky might correct itself. Then the story tilts from spectacle into human loss. Krakatoa didn't just explode upward. The volcano collapsed into itself, and that collapse, plus huge pyroclastic flows rushing into the sea, helped generate tsunamis that tore across the Sunda Strait. Some wave heights were estimated at 30 to 37 meters. That is not a wave. That's a wall. At least 165 coastal villages were destroyed, and the death toll was at least 36,000, with more than 34,000 of those deaths from the tsunami alone. Some later estimates are higher because colonial era records were incomplete and disaster statistics were messy in the way history often is. The sea did most of the killing. And then the sky got involved. The eruption sent ash and sulfur-rich gas high into the stratosphere, where they spread around the planet and dimmed sunlight for years. Global temperatures dropped by roughly zero point 0.4 to 1.2 degrees Celsius. Not enough to make headlines the way a hurricane does, but enough to show up in the climate record and in people's lives. The sunsets turned red and purple. Reports described blue-looking moons. That sounds decorative until you remember it came from a volcano changing how sunlight moved through the air. Chemistry, not vibes. Krakatoa also hit at a moment when the world was getting newly connected. Undersea telegraph cables and newspapers spread the news fast, and scientific groups like the Royal Society pulled together barograph traces and sky observations from around the globe. This was one of the first disasters people experienced as a shared international event, not just a local one. That matters because it changed how people thought about risk. A thing can begin on one island and still touch weather, trade, science, and public imagination far away. And the part that makes it feel less like a closed chapter is that Krakatoa never really vanished. Anak Krakatau grew back in the same caldera, and in 2018, a collapse there triggered another tsunami that killed more than 400 people. So when I think about that cracked window moment, the sudden bang, the reflex to look up, I keep coming back to this. Sometimes the thing that reaches you isn't the thing you think it is. In 1883, one volcano made the whole planet listen. The air carried it, the sea carried it, and the sky kept the record.